I'm just going to hit record and we'll just start talking anyways. But
Let's go
coming
for
at
it.
you live from the land down under.
Yes.
So, where are you from in Australia?
So I'm from Sydney, Australia, so on the east coast.
Nice.
Yes. Yes.
That's cool.
It's pretty big. People don't seem to realize how big Australia actually is. I had a friend that I met on Instagram, LinkedIn, sort of thing, and he's like, "I'm coming over to New Zealand. I'll call in and say hi." No, that's 4 hours away by plane, buddy.
Yeah, Australia and New Zealand are close compared to here, but
Well,
yeah, it's
yes.
not just a quick pop in, huh?
No, no, not quite, not quite.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Huh. That's cool. We were ranked on the business charts of Australia last week. Couldn't believe it. So
really?
yeah,
Awesome. On the
I mean
business
we were
one.
way down the list, but I saw that
Hey,
and I was
doesn't
like,
matter.
yeah. I was like, well, now we're not on the list, but I was like, maybe we'll get back on the list. We got an
Bugger.
Aussie coming on here.
Oh gosh, I don't even look at lists.
I don't either, and I don't even know if it was legit or not. I got an email from some guy saying that we were on the chart or whatever. And I was like, okay, thanks. I think he was trying to get me to buy his subscription to his website or something.
Oh, of course, yes.
So it may have been fake, but
No,
I don't care where
yeah,
we're ranked
no.
as long as somebody's listening.
Isn't that it? That's all it is for me too. Is that I mean, it's pretty cool to get, you know, to see your count listens, your downloads go up and stuff like that. But as long as one person gets something out of it, that's all that really matters for me.
Yeah, yeah, as long as somebody is. I mean,
Yeah.
who cares about numbers? As long as I just want to add value, or
Yes.
whether that's entertainment or an actual lesson learned. I guess that's all that really matters.
Yeah, I know. And either way is good. So and you provide both.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's good.
Well, and since we're on the topic of podcasts, go ahead and let's talk about yours. I know you're involved with multiple.
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
start at the top one and let's go down the list. Let's hear about them.
Let's start at my one because that's more important.
Yeah.
Yeah. My podcast is called Defining Boundaries. I speak mostly. Well, I'm a surveyor by trade,
Yeah.
by profession, and an educator. And I kind of, in COVID, left left the whole going to conferences, going to any meetings, sitting on any committee meetings or anything like that. And I kind of lost that connection with talking to people. And some of the old surveyors that we have are really cool stories to tell,
Mhm.
and lots of knowledge as well. So I kind of thought about, I always wanted to write a book. I always wanted to do a podcast because I used to listen to them so much. I thought this would be really cool. So, yeah, so Defining Boundaries began. And it's basically just me and another surveyor or anyone who's, close to surveying or has, something to do with our kind of world and just tell their story about how they got into it, what they enjoy, their challenges, their thoughts, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it kind of nearly 3 years ago now, I think it was that I started.
Wow. Been going for that long, huh?
Yeah, God, yeah. I've been pretty slack this year or last year, this year. I haven't done many, so I'm just getting back into the swing again. I've had a lot on my plate, so
Yeah.
so yeah, something has to give occasionally, and unfortunately, that was it to keep part of my mental health going, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It gets to
But
be a lot sometimes.
yeah, but then I realised that it's something I actually enjoy doing, so why am I stopping it? So yeah, so I think so yeah, I'm up to I must have about 75, 80 in the bank now that I've done. So yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I speak to not just Australian surveyors all over the world, so which has been good to get to speak to people dealing with same issues or similar issues that halfway across the world, and you just realise that we're all the same.
Mhm.
Not much changes.
Yeah, it's so cool. Surveying's always interested me. Like, it's not something I'm in particularly good at, but obviously it's very relevant to what I do, which is, my
Yeah.
day job is building roads.
Yeah.
But it's so like the history of it and everything, like Lewis and Clark, and I'm sure that Australia probably had your version of Lewis and Clark somewhere along the way. I mean, just the early surveyors were just amazing adventurers.
Yes. Yeah. And that's exactly it. The adventurers, traversing through country that hasn't been walked on before by, well, I have to say by non-Indigenous people. Um, but yeah, it's and how they did it with all of their old equipment and all of that kind of stuff. It's way different to what surveying is today. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You, I started on roads as a surveyor.
Oh yeah. Nice.
There you go. Building motorways. Yep, that was part of my job. Worked for transport, and then worked for a private company building motorways. Yeah, before I went private.
Wow, that's cool.
It's an easy job.
Yeah. So I do have to wonder, since we're on the topic of early surveyors, how did they? I mean, they used chains and old equipment and all that to like measure out everything, and we still go off a lot of that information today. How do you measure all that with just chains and no? I don't even know. Can you give me like a brief dummy rundown?
Your chain is 66 feet long, right? And then you have links, which is broken up into links. And gosh, I can't I can't remember that part now. God, I should. I'm supposed to teach it. But yeah, you got your chain that was 66 feet long, which in turn, so as you do your conversions, we can bring it down to, well, I talk in meters and millimeters over
We
here.
speak freedom units here in the United States.
No, it's not. I don't know how you guys manage to do your surveying in feet and inches. Seriously, it's just wrong.
It sucks. Honestly, it's a pain in the ass.
like let's not make it a nice rounded number. Let's have 12 a 12 in there, and then we've got I don't know, it just does my head. I see things on Facebook and everything about certain types of measurements of an eighth of a foot, or I don't know, they talk about all these different things, and I go, isn't it easier just to go like 10 millimeters, 15 millimeters, nice rounded, easy.
It would be if that's what we learned, yes. It's kind of like, have you ever had to deal in tenths? Like
Tenths of what?
tenths of a foot. Like,
Yeah, exactly. But a foot is 12.
It doesn't make, like, if you're doing dirt work, for example, you speak in tenths. So you have your survey rod and you go out and you shoot the job and you're like, oh, I'm low by 2/10, or I'm low, or I'm high by a tenth, or, that's a whole new mind screwing that you get whenever you join the construction industry, is measuring
Exactly, because 1 foot is 12 inches.
Yes.
So how do you get a tenth out of it? What's a tenth when it comes to a... See? It doesn't make sense.
It's very hard to learn. But
I give up.
Yeah.
I give up.
So I was actually talking to an old school road builder the other day, and he goes, you know what the funniest time in history was? I said, what was that? And he goes, oh, back in, I can't remember what year he said. I think it was the 60s or 70s. He goes, the president changed the official measuring standard of the U.S. to meters, or the metric system. Mm-hmm. And he goes, so for like a month or two, all the government agencies and all the engineers had to design plans in meters instead of feet.
Really?
And he goes, and I've never heard anybody else like tell me this story before. And he goes, for less than a year, it was absolute pandemonium watching people try and build these jobs because they just could not figure it out.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, yeah, it would be difficult to go from one system to the other, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yours
Yeah.
just
I
doesn't make
mean,
sense.
I learned some of it in college. So, like, I understand the metric system. Like, if you asked me to build a job in it, I'd struggle. But I know that once I learned it, it'd be way easier.
Oh, so much easier. Just saying, just
Yeah.
putting it
Yeah.
out there. But
Yeah.
yeah, oh gosh. But yeah, measuring's difficult at the best of times.
Yeah. Sorry, you were talking about like survey chains and all that, and then we went
Oh,
off
yes.
on that.
This is what happens. You talk about something and then it goes off into something completely different. But yeah,
Yeah.
so the chains, they're pulling chains, to measure over through bush and stuff like that. It's just crazy that, they've managed to actually, they have to cut lines, carry these really, really old, heavy legs and instruments. They're complete metal, heavy metal sort of instruments and stuff like that going through bush and stuff like that. It's just crazy. It's
Mm.
amazing. I got to do some surveying work to find old survey marks when I first started surveying, and that was pretty cool knowing that you were digging up or finding blazes and stuff on trees and things like that that have been done 100 years ago, sort of thing. It's
Wow.
yeah, pretty crazy.
That is really cool.
Nowadays, I don't get to see much of that.
Yeah.
I've got friends that still work out in the country and stuff, and they send me all these pictures. We're going, oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
They
So,
get to
so what
find
is
all of that.
what does your job consist of now?
So now I am the training and development manager for Consulting Surveyors National. So, bit of background. I have a qualification in surveying. I don't have a degree. I have a vocational qualification. I worked in the industry for about 12 or so years. Then moved over to the education side. So I started teaching at the vocational college, and I was there for about 12 plus years, and then left and went back to industry. Bit of a shambles. Just had enough. I
Mm.
love teaching, but had enough. Had to walk away. And so then a friend of mine, Michelle, who works for Consulting Surveyors National, sort of said, oh, I think we need to get something up and running to teach people who can't get access to the colleges. We've got lots of people we need to train. They might be working or they might be in rural areas and things like that. So they employed me to develop a course to run across Australia, and I deliver that online. There's a certificate for and a diploma level qualification that I deliver online to everybody over across Australia at one time. They all jump online. We have 1 day a week face-to-face delivery where they actually get physical, contact with teachers. And then they spend the rest of their time doing all of their practical and assessments under a supervising surveyor at work. So they have to be
Wow.
working in industry, but it opens up opportunities for them to gain qualifications, which they never had before. So, yeah, groundbreaking. Yes,
That's a
history
really
in the
interesting
making.
system. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a hard skill to learn too. So it's great that you're coming through and you're doing it in a new way. Like it's not just like, oh, come take this class. It's,
Yeah.
it's a mixture of online and in the field, and you have to get on the job experience, and
Yeah.
that's really what you
Yeah.
need to learn it.
What was sort of noticed, and it's probably in a lot of areas, is there used to be a lot of mentoring that used to happen, and that's how you learn. You learn from people with their experience and their knowledge and stuff like that. So part of what I've done is ensure that the supervising surveyor has relevant experience and qualifications, so that they have that mentoring going on in the workplace now, instead of being left to their own devices. Because quite often there's, you get taught how to press the buttons and you get sent out to do jobs on your own.
Hmm.
So you don't actually know what you're doing. You're just being a monkey, really. Anybody can press buttons, sort of thing. So by bringing this into it, the mentorship, bringing in, and what we're doing is just giving them the foundation knowledge that they need. Yes, you go out and do this survey. Why do you do this survey? Because of X, Y, Z. This is the reason behind what you're doing. And you see them all go, oh, okay. So it's really good to see that you're actually giving them something that they didn't know before, and it's bettering them as a surveyor as they move along as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened to that mentoring? Because it seems like that's a problem, not just in the surveying field, but like, I get that the surveying field is the same as just general construction field as finding people, but probably even worse
Yes.
because you do have to have people that are knowledged and skilled in what they're doing or willing to learn.
Yeah.
And I talk to a lot of old timers, and for one, it seems like there used to be a lot more surveyors, at least in America or in my area. But I talked to a lot of the people that have been in the road business for a long time. And a lot of them say, yeah, man, I started working for a surveyor whenever I was 15, 16. It was my first job and I learned a ton. But you don't hear people doing that anymore.
No, I think there's a couple of problems with that. The first one is your technology. You can do everything on your own now, so you're losing that two-person field party sort of type of thing where you do have, or even three. I believe in America, you've got your chainman, your Ironman, and the party chief or whatever it is. You've got three there. That doesn't happen very often anymore because you've got an instrument that you just set up, press the button, and it follows you around, and you've got your data recorder in your hand, and off you go, or you've got your GPS or whatever it is. So I think that has led to the drop in surveyors. It's led to the lack of mentoring because you're not working with people as much anymore. There's companies out there that will not send out a one-person field party, but I think that's a lot of the reasoning why behind it. The lack of surveyors, well, surveyors don't really, they don't talk about themselves enough.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what a surveyor is or what a surveyor does or the importance of a surveyor. you know, and that's a big problem across the world as well. I mean, like over here, we're still trying to educate communities as to what a surveyor is and why you need a surveyor. Educate the construction, the construction companies. They put out tenders, and you've got this measly little amount for surveying. But who starts the job, who helps all the way through, and who finishes it? It's the surveyor. Surveyor's there the whole way through. They're setting the boundaries, they're setting the foundations, they're picking up the information so that you can actually build the road in the right place or build the building in the right place, all of that kind of stuff. So there's lots of corners that are being cut and stuff like that because people don't actually realise what's involved in the job that we do.
Yeah. So I guess that's a great time to ask then, just for everybody who's listening to this, because I know what a surveyor does and the perspective of my eyes and building roads. I know what I need a surveyor to do, but I don't always necessarily. I know that there's a lot of aspects to surveying. So let's just hear from what do you want people to know that surveyors do?
We have a really important job, no matter what part of it is that we do. Whether it comes to your land boundaries, people look at a map or online and say, oh, that's my boundary, or there's fences, that's my boundary. No, it's not actually your boundary. Your boundaries are not, you cannot physically see your boundaries with a line on, Google Maps or whatever it is. It's a representation of what your boundaries are. So, we have coordinated marks that are hidden to everybody else that we actually connect into so that we can define where your actual boundaries are. That leads to, working out whether your property is actually, your structures are sitting on your property. It leads to, all the fence issue fights, or all of that kind of stuff. You can't just even pick up your phone and go, oh, here's my boundary, because a phone is not it's not accurate enough. You know, I say we're talking millimeters. What I don't know what you say over there.
You talk how you want to talk. No, nobody's
We're
going to sit here
talking
and be like,
millimeter
what are you
accuracy.
talking about? I work in inches.
We're talking like points of inches.
Right.
You
No,
know,
you
it's
speak your
really,
language.
really, yeah, really, really accurate work that we're doing. And you know, so when it comes to your properties, you know, that's really important. When it comes to construction, we have to define those boundaries. We have to set out where the property should actually be. We have to make sure that all of the grids are set out correctly, because you've got a structure that might be going up 20 stories, 30 stories, you know, who knows. If all of those grids aren't in the right place, so that the columns and the structures and everything aren't put in the right place, well, then your building's not safe. It's not structural. Your lift wells, we have to make sure that if you've got lifts in there, that they are, you know, once again, millimeter accurate and square, because as you go up a building, you can get twist in it, which means that if you've got a lift, that's not going to work. You go to your roads, you build a road, you know, it's okay to be a bit, you know, here or there with a road. What happens when it comes to you actually building a bridge, and you've got the road coming from the east, the road coming from the west, and we come to build over some kind of waterway, and all of a sudden the surveyor on the west is in slightly different azimuth to what your east surveyor is, and all of a sudden your bridge doesn't match up.
Yeah.
Or you don't get a surveyor, and you have somebody who knows how to use an instrument but doesn't quite know how to use an instrument, does it, and yeah, you end up with those issues as well. So, you know, all of those different sorts of things. So we're mapping what's on the ground, putting it into 2D, 3D, you know, 4D things to be able to design, to go and build again.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're defining the boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah. It's, no, that's pretty cool. I think we've all seen the picture, at least I hope people have. And is it real? Probably not. But it's like you only had one job, and it shows the bridge coming to meet from one end to the other. And it's like way off. I mean, it's, you know,
Yeah.
one end of the bridge is in the middle of the other side of the bridge. You know, it's off by 20 foot, you know?
And yeah, and so, you know, that's big dollars. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a story the other day. I went to assess a student, and somebody, a builder, whoever it was, set out their grids for their concrete slab so that their steel work can just, you know, get laid into it straight away. And it was about 200 off from centre, which 200, what's that? Oh gosh, I need my tape measure. I don't have my tape measure. Maybe 2 foot-ish off. Yeah. So then they had to, all the beams were fabricated and everything ready to go. They've had to then go back and put weld on plates and all this kind of stuff.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because the guy didn't do his proper checks and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they
And-
think everybody thinks they know what they're doing because surveying's so easy. You know, it's easy to press those buttons. Do you know how to do your checks? Do you know how to validate your work? You know, we don't just come in and put some things in the ground. We actually turn around and check what we've done to make sure it is right, and stuff as well. So, yeah.
I always wondered too, like, okay, so you're going and, I mean, because I know that like property lines are, like you mentioned it, property lines are a big part of what surveyors do. You know,
Yeah.
your average Joe Schmo guy that's not a construction company, you know, he might just want to define his property lines. A farmer might want to know his exact fence line, or, you know, any sort of situation like that. How do you how do you get that so exact? Like you go and you get, I guess, survey data. Like in our case, I don't know how you guys do it in your country, but in our case, they go to the courthouse and they have certain benchmarks and stuff like that that they go off of, and then they follow that line down the way. But I've never really understood like how do you get it so exact?
Okay. In Australia, I'll talk to Australia. I think, it's kind of similar everywhere, but yeah, you guys have plats over there of what, when survey work's been done and boundaries have been marked and all of that kind of stuff. We have over here a system, a system where we have permanent marks in the ground that are coordinated, easting, northing coordinated, not lat longs, with heights as well, all in relation to our system that we use in Australia. And you then also, we don't go to a courthouse. We've got spatial services where we lodge all of our deposited plans which relate to boundaries. So you want to do a survey, a work, on some boundaries somewhere, you go and order the plans that you need, you go and find the reference marks. So we have coordinated marks, and then we also have reference marks, drill hole and wings, things like that, that relate specifically to the boundary. So we connect into all of these different marks. And so we're measuring angles, we're measuring distances, and we're ensuring that these marks are all in the right place, which can then give us a fix so that we can then turn into the boundaries and say, pinpoint, that's your boundary right there. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a lot of calculation.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I took a surveying class in college, and it was kind of interesting because it was the head of the, I went to Oklahoma State University, and it was the head of basically one of the head guys at the Oklahoma Department of Transportation. Now he's head of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority, which is similar position. But he taught that whole class, and the calculations are absolutely mad, trying to get everything tied in and looped and so exact. And it's like, I can never get anything exact. I was always like kind of close, but I mean, I know in surveying, it's not a game of being kind of close. It's a game of being right on.
Yeah, it is. There is also the accuracy you need for the outcome as well.
Yeah.
So, we can be millimeter accurate, or we can be centimeter accurate. What is it that we're doing? If you're out in a rural area and you're trying to find boundaries and you don't have marks anywhere, you can GPS it. GPS is not going to give you millimeter accuracy. Mm-hmm. And are you looking at heights? Well, you're going to get about, you're not going to get as accurate in your heights as you would in your horizontal position, sort of thing. So, there's different accuracies you need. If you're doing just a detail survey, topographical survey, it doesn't have to be millimeter perfect because you're picking up the ground, and the ground is, undulating. So wherever you pick up, it's going to give you a different height and all that kind of stuff as well. So, yeah. But the maths behind it all, look, a lot of that maths is going because of computers and the equipment that now people use. But it's still having the understanding of how you're getting that answer on your data recorder. How are you doing a resection and you've got 2 marks and it gives you 0? Well, that's not accurate because you need at least three positions, 3 marks to get a good position from a resection, and giving you redundancies and all that kind of stuff. And are they positioned in the right area? And that's what we sort of teach now is this is what you've got to do. This is the answers you should come up with and stuff like that. Because I'm not that good at maths. I don't like maths. I'm a surveyor and I don't like maths. It has a purpose. I know that has purpose. So, yeah.
My old surveying teacher told us a funny story one time. He said that, whenever he was first starting out, he's like, I would just go do some freelance survey work for people around town, stuff like that. And he goes, well, this farmer was wanting to build a new fence, and he wanted, between his field and his neighbor's field. And he said, hey, I want you to go ahead and mark out my property lines, make sure I get things accurate, this, that, the other. Well, he goes out and he's marking out the lines, and, he's marking them out a pretty good ways away from the fence, like inside the fence, probably some spots, I think he said like 10, 15 foot, like pretty far. And it's a long run. And the farmer drives up and he goes, "Hey, what are you marking out right there?" He goes, "Well, this is your property line." And he goes, "Your fence isn't even close to your property line." the, the farmer comes up to him and he said, "Here's a check for $500. Remove
Go
your
away.
stakes. Get the hell out of here." He didn't want to lose all that land.
Yeah, heard that quite a lot, and so that's the real important thing about being accurate in your work, because especially where you're talking about the cost of land, and you're that much out, you're either losing so many dollars worth of land, or you might be lucky in gaining it if you're on the other side, sort of thing. But yeah, so it's really important.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have some funny survey stories like that?
Oh,
I'm sure. Let's hear some of your horror stories. I'm sure you've got a few somewhere.
there's horror stories. My boss and I working one day, and it was actually in the city, but we had to do a survey of a small dam or water water catchment area, sort of thing, in the park, and you got your waders and all of that kind of stuff on, and he's in there and he's holding the prison pole up nice and high. I'm standing on nice dry land, picking up all of the marks and everything, and because this is a long, long, long time ago, and he trod on a spike, but because of where we are, we didn't know if it was a needle or, if it was just some sharp spike off a tree or anything like that. So now for the next, he had to go and get blood tests and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, you never really think about, those type of things. But you're always working and you see needles and, well, that's all the crappy kind of stuff. I was surveying out bush on a property one day, and I was about 8 months pregnant and having to climb through fences and got zapped by an electric fence.
Ooh.
Luckily, it wasn't one of the really, powerful ones, thank God. But yeah, that was enough to shock me to go. Lucky I didn't go into labour.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I've been pretty lucky in the work that I've done, where I haven't had really a lot of horror stories, just really great experiences. The experiences of being able to travel and go and do water surveys and problem solve how you're going to pick up this information and where you're going to get your service from, your GPS from, and all that kind of stuff, and multi-million-dollar houses, on the waterfronts in Sydney, and seeing all these different sorts of things. It's every day is different, and that's the best thing about surveying, is that every day is different. Your job's different. You might be doing the same type of surveying, but it's always somewhere different. So you're always meeting new people, getting different experiences and stuff like that. So, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Wouldn't give it up for the world.
Yeah. Have you ever been
Well, I mean, I
around?
kind of did, didn't I? But I'm teaching the next generation, so
Yeah.
that's all good.
Yeah. Somebody's got to keep it going, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. But yeah.
Have you ever got to do like underwater surveying where like you dive down and do that kind of stuff, or been around it?
No, underwater. On top of water, yes. Yep. That was probably one of the best jobs I've ever done. And it was only a couple of years ago where, I had to go down to the Murrumbidgee River, which is about a 6-hour drive from Sydney. I took my paddleboard, and I had sonar and GPS and all that kind of stuff, and a canoe, and, MacGyvered all this stuff onto my paddleboard so that I could get into all these intricate areas. And yeah, it was really fun.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah, yeah.
What
Middle
was the
of
purpose
nowhere.
of that?
Picking up the riverbed. So there was hundreds of kilometres of the whole river being picked up. We just had small areas, and just picking up. They had some LiDAR from about 10 years ago or something, and they wanted to do some checks on what was there still and how it had how the river had changed and all that kind of stuff, and flow management and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah,
That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah.
That's a very neat job.
Yes. Oh, if I had my time again, I'd definitely be a hydrographic surveyor.
Hmm.
Yeah, like it was a bit difficult when I started. I was a single mother, so being able to go out on jobs for weeks at a time just wasn't possible. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably my one regret in life.
So how did you get into the industry?
I fell into it. I fell into it. I was a single mother, needed to get some kind of qualification behind me, so that I could support my son. And I didn't want to work in an office, so I just applied for landscaping and surveying. And landscaping was 4 years part time, and surveying was 2 years full time. So surveying it was. I ended up, you know, doing that, and my whole thing was to go and work in the mines. That didn't happen either because I met my husband, but all these things, oh my God. Yeah, but no, yeah, so I fell into it, and gosh, I'm so glad that I did because I've had a great career. I've met some awesome people. I really love what I do,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah. I mean, you've
it's a
been in
great
it.
profession.
Yeah. Yeah. You've been in it a long time. So basically
Yeah.
you were just kind of one of those deals of like, okay, I need something that's going to pay the bills. Surveying or landscaping. All right. Surveying, it looks like you're going to get done sooner. So let's
Yep,
go.
pretty much. And oh, thank God that I probably did choose surveying because landscaping's so hard on your body.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if I'd be able to be doing it now, that's for sure. So yeah, whereas surveying's not so. Surveying you can in different areas keep, you've got your hard work of, cutting line and all that kind of stuff in the bush and stuff, but there's so many different areas of surveying now. You've got your drones, you've got your scanning, you've got your construction, you've got your mining, you've got your hydrographic, you've got your land. There's so many different areas to focus on now that it opens up so many different possibilities for so many different people who would never have thought of doing surveying before.
Yeah. So where did you go after that? Like you got your certification or qualification, then you went on, and then what is kind of your career progression look like?
Yeah, so I started with transport, which was just a summer job, and then went on to Abbey Group Obayashi, which is the M2 motorway in Sydney, and I worked with them for about 4 months or something, and then found a job with a private surveyor close to home, and I was with him for about 10 and a half, 11 years, before I left and did a few other things, and then went into teaching.
That's really
Did
cool.
teaching, taught in Sydney TAFE, and then went to Wollongong TAFE as head teacher, and then left there and did about 15 months with Cardno, which is now Stantec, been bought out by Stantec, as a project manager, senior surveyor. Yeah, and then this job. So, yeah.
So what got you into teaching then?
When I left working for the surveyor I'd worked with for quite a long time, I was just doing some consulting work for other surveyors, which was really difficult work because they kind of wanted blood but didn't want to pay for it. And I ended up just doing some work for a friend, setting up their website, doing their photography for their artwork, or, all that kind of stuff, and thought, I don't want to give away my 15, well, yeah, by that time it was, sort of 14 years of my career. So I contacted the head teacher at TAFE, which is the technical college that teaches surveying, and sort of said, oh, what do you have to do? And he was one of my old teachers. He's like, oh, send us your resume. And before I knew it, I was teaching. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I kind of
So,
fell into it. Found, found my calling.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're just one of those people that you just kind of go where life takes you, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm I'm happy doing what I'm doing because I can, I have students from 10, 15 years ago that still contact me, that still keep in contact, or, they're starting a business and they need a bit of advice on a certain area, and they sort of say, oh, what do you think? Who should I contact? They come to me. So, I've left a bit of a, I don't know, I guess I made an impression on them for them to come back and be in touch with me still, which is a really nice feeling to know that they value you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in a world of so many teachers that are not that great at teaching, it's so awesome when you get a good teacher.
It frustrates me no end. I mean, we're short surveyors, we're short teachers, there's the whole shortage everywhere sort of thing. But to me, I would rather not do as many classes than have the teachers that teach them. Some people just aren't meant to teach, and it's really frustrating. It's really disappointing because it can actually turn people away from the profession.
Well, it does, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No matter what profession they're
No,
teaching,
yeah, exactly.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah. So yeah,
it's a
I'm
shame,
like,
really, whenever you
it
have
is.
that. But whenever you get a good teacher, it's, it's just like in a job. If you have a poor boss, you may even like the work you're doing, but if you have a boss that sucks, you start to hate the work itself. But if you have a boss that's great,
Yep.
even if starting out you don't necessarily love the work you're doing, you learn to like it. But it's the same whenever you're trying to learn from a teacher. If you have a class that seems interesting to you, but you have a terrible teacher, then you're going to start to hate that class and hate that subject. But if you have
Exactly.
a teacher that's really awesome and really cool, you're going to want to be there and you're going to want to
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah. And it's also about, treating them as individuals and understanding that not everybody learns the same way. Some things are going to be boring no matter what you do, but just showing them that, you're open to different types of learning. You're not understanding what I'm doing. Well, let's look at this a different way. Or you explain to me what you understand, and then that gives me more of an understanding of how I can give back to you, sort of thing. So it's about understanding people and treating people as individuals. And, a lot of teachers just treat people as students, and yeah, that's not
Yeah.
how you do it.
No. But what's cool about what you're doing too is you're teaching a practical skill. You're teaching something that these students can go out and actually utilize what they're learning. A lot of
Yeah.
classes are hard too because, like, I took a lot of math classes, calculus, things like that. It was really hard. I've never had to worry about differential equations or imaginary numbers while building an asphalt road, but I learned it.
Yeah. And, what we're trying to do is, yes, there's maths. And, in some places you go, they just teach you that, that calculus, the matrices, or, the algebra, the simultaneous equations, whatever the hell it may be. We're trying to flip it and go, okay, yes, this is the formula. This is the type of maths that you need to do, but this is how it actually applies in surveying.
Yeah.
Because once you say this formula, this is how it's used, and this is how the computer gets your answers, they kind of go, oh, okay. And they can see it differently.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, hard math was good whenever I knew, like, one of the hardest math classes for me was my surveying class that I took. It was very in depth. And I wanted to learn it because I go, this is a practical skill. Like, yeah, these are hard equations. This is hard stuff. But I know that I will be able to use this in some sense.
Yep. Yeah. So when you're out in the field and something goes wrong and you've got to quickly work out, you know, how you're going to change it or where it's got to change to, you can do those quick calculations. And you get the
Yeah.
idea of, you know, straight away instead of sort of, you know, you've got to think on the fly. You've got to be able to do these things on the fly. So, yeah,
What I love
important.
about surveying too is you can have somebody who's qualified, licensed surveyor out there doing aspects of the
Hmm.
surveying, but then, some jobs it's your blade hand or it's a laborer who's checking grade, who's kind of doing calculations of where's the water going to go? How's, this going to go here? How wide do I need to make this? It's kind of cool how many people it involves.
Yes. And the good thing is that you don't have to be, you know, you don't have to go to university. You don't have to be licensed to know what you're doing. There are aspects, you know, legally and things like that, that yes, you have to have that licensed surveyor with. But some of my good friends who've been working for 15 plus years don't have any qualifications whatsoever.
Hmm.
And man, they run rings around me as a surveyor. You know,
Yeah.
the things that they're doing, it's amazing. They know what they're doing. They know how to solve the problems out in the field. They've been taught by great surveyors and they just haven't got the, you know, the educational foundation side of it. And
Yeah.
they're still great surveyors. So, yeah,
That's pretty
it's a big
cool.
thing for me, university.
Yeah. What's your favorite aspect of surveying? Like what really gets you excited about it?
Ah, I just love being outside.
Yeah.
I love being outside. I love, and the challenge of working out, you know, how you're going to set your job up, you know, what you need to do, how you're going to set it up, where your mark's going to be, how you're going to attack, you know, your plan of attack in doing something. It gets your mind, you know, thinking. You're always thinking about your next step. Where have I got to go next? What have I got to do? Making sure that, you know, you're picking up all of the right things and stuff. You know, a technology. Oh man, we have some amazing technology now. You know, that's all pretty exciting. And, you know, unfortunately for me, I don't get to play with that technology very often. You know, it's it's relatively new compared to what I'm actually doing in the office now.
Hmm.
And you know, when I left surveying, I still had a data recorder that had a lead attached to my theodolite, my EDM. So that's, you know, the difference of, you know, when I left the first time to coming back to working for Cardno, you know, there was GPS, your robotics, your laser scanners, your, you know, all of that different sorts of equipment. The technology is just amazing. The things that it can do, and your drone surveying and stuff like that can make a job so much quicker. Just a little bit more time in the office. So surveying's kind of changing in that sense that, you know, technology, less field, more office time, but we still have to do all those checks, those validations and all that sort of stuff. So it's changing, but it's still really interesting. There's
Yeah.
always something to grab you. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool. I like that. And there's certainly a lot of technology being introduced just in the few
Hmm.
years I've been around it. It's like, whoa, holy crap. There's like whenever I first started working in just the construction business in general, it was like I remember the first time I saw a laser level. I was like, whoa. And then I saw a self leveling
They
laser
were pretty
level. And
cool,
I was
weren't
like,
they?
whoa. I was like, this thing will level itself. I don't have to sit here and screw with the little thingies and get the bubble right in the middle. It'll do it itself. And then, I mean, it just was like more and more. Then it was like I saw this
Mm.
GPS and like in 2011, it was a 2011 model GPS. And actually, we just got rid of that GPS last year and upgraded finally. But it was like, I mean, the old data collector was like this weird block thing. And it was just, I don't know, now it's
Yeah.
all on an iPad and it's just, it's crazy how much it's
Hmm.
changed.
But how are the GPS now that you can actually, use them under a tree and they still pick up, and you can tilt them. They've got tilt sensors in them. So if you've got some corner that you can't hold your pole up straight to, you can actually just, push the corner into it, and it'll actually understand what angle tilt you've got to get your position, but then do the calculation to put it over into the corner where the bottom of your pole is. It's amazing.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy how
Technology is
high tech
awesome.
it is.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
So you came down to between surveying and landscaping. Why was it those two that you like? Did you have background in construction or that kind of stuff, or where did those two options
Uh,
get narrowed down?
I just wanted something outdoors.
Okay.
I am a tomboy. I grew up in a street full of boys. My dad had an excavation company. He used to have an old D9. He built half the roads down in Canberra, and stuff like that. So construction. My granddad was a builder, so construction was not foreign to me. Probably more. Was always an outdoors person, athletic outdoors, and yeah, just didn't want to be stuck in an office all day, every day, like I am now. It's funny how
Yeah,
things change.
I know
But
what you
yeah.
mean.
So I had, I didn't really know that much about surveying. I just knew that it was something that was outdoors.
What kind of construction did your dad do?
Well, he had an excavation business, so he basically, cleared land for people. So when he started down in Canberra, it was, grading, digging the roads and stuff down there. And then when we moved to Jervis Bay, which is just south coast, just south of Sydney, yeah, he just had his own business and he used to clear blocks of land for people and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, my granddad was one of the 10-pound poms, came over from England, and yeah, it was building all different types of places all over Sydney, Canberra, South Coast. Yeah,
What
all
is
over
a
the
ten
place.
pound palm?
So a 10-pound pom is basically a person who paid £10 to hop on a ship and migrate to Australia.
Ah, okay.
Back in the it was about 1940, early after the war, 45 sort of thing. Yeah. So a lot of people went to Canada. A lot of English people went to Canada, or Australia.
Wow. I feel like the ones that went to Australia got the better end of the deal.
Oh, really? Why do you say that?
I don't know. I just when I think Canada, I'm sure, and I haven't been to Canada, but sure it's beautiful. But like when
No,
I
me
think
neither.
Australia, it just seems a lot warmer. I like that.
Yeah.
Although I haven't been to Australia, I've been to kind of that area of the world, and it's I don't know, it's just so nice. The climate, the ocean, the Great Barrier Reef,
It
all of it.
is. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It is a really nice place to be. That's, I mean, when you get off here, look up Vincentia, Jervis Bay. That's where I grew up. Whiter sands, crystal clear water, absolutely beautiful. Growing up, it was kind of regional. Had my horses. We used to ride the horses along the beach and take them in the water for swims and ride motorbikes. And you know, you grew up in a time where you'd leave the house at sunrise and had to be back, when the lights came on in the street.
Yeah, yeah.
Go
I'm a big
adventuring all
scuba
day.
diver, so that's another reason why I like Australia because it's just
Ah, yes.
the idea of like all that. I've been on the edges of the Great Barrier Reef and like well I went to Fiji one time and it's like close,
Yep.
so it's just
Yeah.
Beautiful area of the world.
It is beautiful. And yeah, so we used to scuba dive. My parents used to scuba dive, and my granddad had a fishing boat that we used to collect scallops. We used to dive for scallops and
Mm.
all that kind of stuff as well growing up.
Yeah. You guys
Very
also
much
have
a
rugby, and big rugby guy.
Oh, are you? I don't get that game. I do not get it. They just all fall in each other and then the ball pops out and then they go. I don't know. Yeah, don't get that one. I watch more rugby league
You
than
probably have too many
rugby.
brain cells to understand rugby, to be honest with you.
Is that what it is? Hey,
It probably is.
that kind of makes sense now, actually.
Yeah, you
Oh.
got to be lacking in brain cells to really like rugby.
Yeah, it's rugby was always more of the private school kids game
Ah,
over here. So we had our soccer and soccer and rugby league and AFL. Have you heard of AFL?
Australian football.
Yeah, yeah,
You talk about a game you don't understand. Good night. What's going on there?
yeah. That's true. I mean, but it's exciting because it's just always going.
It's wild.
Yeah, you wonder why they blow the whistle all the time, but yeah, yeah. So more growing up soccer and rugby league
Yeah.
than that rugby thing.
Yeah,
It
it's
is.
kind of here. It's not uncommon for like the bigger, more private schools because I mean it's still not very popular in the U.S. It's growing, and especially where I live in Oklahoma, there's not a lot of schools that play it. So like the people that I played with was like the very opposite of private school. It was like
Yeah,
the backcountry hicks who, you know, were football players and wrestlers and just still wanted to beat people and drink beer. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. But your football would have to be that's massive over there.
yeah.
I can't, and it amazes me like the college football and stuff.
It's basically a religion here, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Because going back to the start when you said I was on a couple of podcasts, the Geoholics, the other podcast that I'm on is the American podcast, and yeah, the fantasy football leagues, and Sunday, can you get anything out of them if you're trying to message them because they're sitting there watching the football? It's like really every Sunday, football.
I never got
football,
big into
football.
fantasy football, but I know so many people that are. It's like it's their whole weekend,
Yeah,
just fantasy
I don't,
football.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
It's
But yeah,
everybody's got their
and
thing, I suppose.
and more than one league
Oh
as
yeah,
well. Oh my
I did
god.
it 1 year, and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even know the players' names and stuff. I just picked who it said was like the number ones whenever I was doing it, and I screwed around, and I was playing with some guys that really studied it and did.
Oh yes.
Well, I screwed around and just made some good picks here and there, and I ended up winning the thing, and like
They would have
everybody
been
was,
so pissed.
oh yeah, it was like the winner was supposed to like win some money, and like the loser had to do it was like this whole big thing in the beginning. Well, then I won. It was like, oh, this is bullshit. This league is bullshit. This isn't even my main league. So it's just. It turned into like nothing. I was like, nobody's gonna acknowledge that I won just because you guys are nerds and I'm not.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. How dare you walk in and win when you know nothing about it?
It was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah. What about horse racing?
I don't know much about horse racing. We do have a big racetrack here in Oklahoma, Remington Park, and a lot of people are into it. Actually, one of my best friend's brother-in-law is big into horse racing. I've never been to him, but can't say. I mean,
No, because
people
it's
get
quite.
excited for the Kentucky Derby, but other than
Oh
that,
yeah.
you don't hear a
Yeah.
whole lot of big horse racing fans around here.
Yeah. No, because it's quite big over here as well.
Really?
Yeah. But we have, I think that there's a like massive gambling over here, online gambling and
Yeah.
stuff. You know, what any kind of sport you can place bets on and stuff. I don't get it either. Wasting your money.
Yeah, I have heard it's fun to go to the live horse races and kind of do some gambling and stuff, but I've never done it.
Yeah, I've been once in my life. It was pretty exciting. But yeah, it's like, oh, I'll just put $10 on this, or and then you have other people putting $100, and it's like, oh my god, if
Yeah, a
only I
couple
had that
weeks
kind
ago,
of
it's funny.
money.
It's funny. Well, we have casinos where I live. I mean, everywhere. I mean, within 10 minutes of my house, there's like 6 different casinos I could go to if I wanted to. And
Really?
I mean, yeah, people love
Wow.
going to them. People go to them all the time. Gambling's I don't know, some people's thing. But it's
Yeah.
funny you bring up horse racing because literally just a couple weeks ago, I know nothing about horse racing. Neither does Casey, my co-host. But a couple weeks ago, we were talking about some guy that got busted for juicing his horses up on some sort of performance enhancing drugs and
Oh
was running all
no.
these races,
Poor horse.
blood doping your horses. It's crazy.
God. Yeah, well, so I heard someone talking about a story the other day about one of the famous horses over here. The trainer was taking it up to Queensland to do some special training, and apparently it was to actually swap the horse. So, and this horse that they were going to swap it with, so the horse that this famous horse was, it was a mare. The horse they were replacing it with was a gelding that was another hand or two higher than what she was, and all this kind of stuff. And the trainer at the time got cold feet and went, "Oh no, not doing it." And anyway, this horse ended up being winning a whole heap of races. But yeah, there's this story behind it of how at one stage it was going to get swapped out, and it's bizarre. It's a whole different world.
Yeah. It's
Weird.
the whole world.
Weird. Yeah.
So you
Anyway.
mentioned your Geoholics podcast. Tell us a little
Yes.
bit more about that. Give them that
Yeah. So you
plug.
talked about adding value. Geoholics is about adding value and making friends.
Okay.
So, geospatial. So once again, surveying. Sort of started surveying background. Kent, the founder, Kent Grow, is a surveyor, and he started. I think it was 2019. The Geoholics started, and there's been a few hosts along the way, and when I say we, he does. I don't do many. Interview people from all different walks of life. What they're working on at the moment. But it's not just surveying, it sort of reaches out into the other areas of construction, engineering, property, anything that's going to give value to the listeners. So, whether it's marketing, business, mental health, you name it, or just something entertaining as well. So, yeah, it's, what are we... I think we're like over 160,000 downloads or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Big podcast.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. I'll definitely have to give that one a listen.
Yeah. There's some interesting ones on there. Not all of them. Well, most of them.
How many people are involved with that one?
So there is 5 of us. There's Kent, who's the founder, Sean, who is the producer. So they're on pretty much nearly every episode. Then there's myself, Mark Taylor, who owns Extreme Aerial Productions in Arizona, and then Nick Smilowski, who is an educator and also works for Bad Elf GPS Systems. So there's the 5 of us, and yeah, depending on who they're who they're interviewing. They'll sort of pull in one of us to suit the questioning to get more value out of it, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. That's
and
cool.
then yeah, my position there is oh, what am I? I should know it. Global marketing, president of global marketing.
Global marketing.
Global
Like
marketing.
she's from a different country, so she's the global marketing
Yep.
president. Do you guys just all do it remotely, I guess?
Not always. I mean, I do. They have a studio in Phoenix. And so if the guest can attend, then yeah, they can go to the studio. Kent and Sean will sit in the studio, even if it's somebody somewhere else.
Yeah, okay.
And yeah, record it from there and then have everyone else online using the same platform, Riverside.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's just crazy how all that works. And you can meet. Did you meet them online? I guess, or how did you
Yeah.
get connected with them?
Yeah. No, it's just through Instagram and LinkedIn.
Isn't it crazy how you can
Yeah.
all the online friends you can meet?
Oh, I have so many people I've met through Instagram, and more so Instagram. It has been amazing. I went to Trimble Dimensions last year. I was presenting over there, and it was like meeting up with old friends. Some of them were like, "Oh, you're going to Dimensions? Great! I'm going. I'm gonna be there. So we can meet and hang out and everything." And I went over there for my podcast and presenting and for the Geoholics.
Nice.
But yeah, it was just amazing to catch up with these people and meet them in real life. And you've got these similar interests and stuff, and most of them are guys, but then they bring their wives, and it's like, oh, you get on so well with them all, and it's just like one big family. We sort of talk about it as being our Instagram family because we've got Elaine who does Get Kids Into Survey over in England, and then we've got a few different people scattered across all of America and everything. South Africa, it's amazing.
Wow, that's so cool. That's what I love about just the whole. I don't know, just the whole online community you can build
Yeah.
around just people with similar interests.
That's exactly it. Even Jenny that you interviewed a few weeks ago, or a month ago, whenever it was.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I got connected with her, and what an amazing lady she is.
Yeah.
It's great to see all these amazing ladies who are working in these non-traditional roles, non-traditional industries, and really rocking it and getting it out there to show that we're quite capable of doing the job and working in these industries and making a difference. Everybody's screaming out for trades, so why just pigeonhole it to the males?
Yeah.
When we're quite capable of doing most of the jobs. We're not as strong. We're not as strong. We just bring different perspectives and thought processes and stuff to our jobs as well. So yeah, I love seeing all these ladies out there that are promoting that for younger girls to see that you don't have to go into childcare or teaching or whatever else is hairdressing.
Yeah. No,
Not
it's
that
so cool.
there is nothing wrong with any of those, but there's more out there.
Yeah.
Don't
It's truly
stereotype.
what they do. Yeah. Well, it's like I was talking to a girl the other day. She was a hairdresser. That's kind of where she felt. She goes, it sucks being a hairdresser. She goes, there's a million hairdressers. And she said there's one on every street corner. She says, I really don't want to be a hairdresser, which is what I fell into. But yeah, it's exactly like you're saying. These roles are available to anybody if they're willing to just work hard and get after it. And,
Yep.
women a lot of times, and not every time, just like there's different, bad people of all genders, all cultures, all that, there's crappy workers in all the groups.
Yeah.
But whenever you automatically have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder for the fact that I'm in a male dominated industry, I think it just makes you work harder to have to prove yourself. And not that you necessarily have to, but most people get that feeling in their head and they do so well.
Yeah. But you know what? You look at probably the ladies more my age,
Hmm.
and we did have to prove ourselves.
Yeah.
We did have to work harder. We had to work, twice as hard to get the kudos of what a male would have just, doing his job kind of thing. It's not because we wanted to, it's because we had to, because we weren't valued. We were always looked down upon. That's not a job for a female, sort of thing. These days it's different. It is changing, there's still a lot that needs to be done. One time I read something about, I wish you women would just, stay out of our jobs. We go to work to get away from women, and this kind of stuff. It's like, really? So I'm going to go. You're never going to change everybody's opinion,
No.
but it's the amount of people that I speak to these days acknowledge that yes, we do bring something different to the table, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? The diversity. What's the use in having a company full of all the same people? You won't grow.
Yeah,
You
you
won't
got to have
change.
different
Yeah,
perspectives.
yeah,
So you talk about having to prove yourself. I guess, a lot of the women in the industry that I've talked to have all been relatively close to my age, 20s. What were some of the struggles you had to deal with? Because, I mean, you probably grew up with some real old school dudes that probably didn't want the women in the industry at all.
yeah. So okay, so I kind of had a few things going against me. One, I was a female. Two, I didn't go to university. I only did vocational qualifications. And three, I was a single mother. So I had trouble getting a job when I first got my qualifications. I applied for so many jobs, it was ridiculous. And the job that I got at Transport, I basically went into that interview and went, okay, well, this is just interview experience. I didn't go in thinking I'm going to get this job. It was just like, I'll just go for more interview experience, might as well. So I kind of went in with the attitude, not a nonchalant attitude, but it was basically like I was completely honest, relaxed and honest, because I thought, no, this is what it is. One day someone will take me on, but in the meantime, I'll just keep getting more interview experience. So, yeah, I
Mhm.
wasn't nervous. I wasn't worried about anything. If I didn't know how to answer anything, I didn't, bullshit and blah blah blah. I'd just go, I don't know. This is what we were taught at TAFE. I haven't worked in the real world. I don't know. And yeah, I basically, when I left, 5 or 10 minutes after leaving, they rang me and they said, "You've got the job." And once you've got a job, it's easier to get more jobs, sort of thing. But yeah, so I was looked down upon for, I believe, quite a long time from a lot of registered surveyors, male registered surveyors, who were the older surveyors who, you know, yeah, you're a female. Oh, you don't have a degree. Oh, why are you here, kind of thing. You know nothing. Some of them wouldn't even talk to me or acknowledge me. If I was with my boss, it was crazy. And then he'd turn around and he'd go, "Oh, Peter, can you just look after that for me?" And he'd walk away.
Hmm.
So he was awesome. He taught me everything. He was an amazing surveyor, taught me heaps, respected me, didn't, yeah, treated me like any other person.
That's really
So
cool.
yeah,
That's,
it was
that's good whenever
tough.
you get those people like that.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I've been really lucky. I still hear some stories now of some poor ladies going through it. Copping it, and it's like, really, in this day and age. So I try and help them and support them. In my role now, 28 years in the industry, I've just turned 50. I'm sort of at that stage now where I'm quite happy to open my mouth. I don't care what people think of me. I know I deserve to be where I am, and I'm in a position that I can support these younger people coming through, and that I can provide guidance, or if they need help or just want someone to talk to that's another female that's not in the company and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I like about the social media as well, that I'm quite happy to stir the pot when it needs to be stirred.
Isn't it fun?
It is. It is. It is. Yes. Yes.
Especially on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah.
Stirring the pot a little bit. Oh yeah.
Yep. 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 Had a couple on there, and yeah, and I have people say, Why do you keep engaging?" And I'm going, because I can. Because these people that are putting these comments on the post, I said, I have a comeback that is. It's not degrading. It's not disrespectful. It's it's factual, and I can put it across in a way that it just makes them look stupid. So, yeah, everybody's got. Yeah, I mean, I don't want people to look stupid, but sometimes when they open their mouth, you just go, really, really, yeah. So it needs to be done occasionally.
Every now and then. Yeah.
It's amazing how many people say to me, "Oh, I saw what you wrote on LinkedIn. Good on you." "Oh, I didn't reply, oh, I didn't want to, oh, it might look bad for me." Oh, come on, really?
Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't see why people anymore, especially. I mean, sure, I'm 30 years ago, most women it was normal to be a stay-at-home mom,
Yeah.
It wasn't looked down upon. It wasn't anything. I still don't think it's looked down upon, but most women are working now. And
Yeah, because you can't afford not to.
yeah, you can't afford not to, you can't hardly live on one income anymore. And, why not go after some of these jobs? If you're going to enter the workforce, why not find something that's cool and fun and exciting? Like, you can join the industry and you don't have to just be an AP and AR and, doing the back office boring stuff.
Yeah,
Like, you can go out and do like you're saying, non-traditional roles and doing the exciting stuff and be right up there with everybody else. I mean, we all have a labor shortage.
Yes.
Why don't we market to 50% of the population, which are women?
Exactly. It doesn't make sense. And, I'm a very firm believer in, for jobs, I don't believe in percentages of, having to have X amount of females and stuff. I do believe that you should have the right person for the job.
100%.
So don't discount a female in that position. You do tend to find that females won't go for a position because they think, I don't have enough experience, or I don't quite have the qualifications, where a male will go, "Oh, I don't have that. Oh, but I'll give it a go anyway." So, I always say, who cares if you don't have the right qualifications? Just go for it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. So I'm a firm believer that, if you don't push yourself and get outside your comfort zone, then, you're not learning, you're not gaining experience. Get out there and give it a go. Believe in yourself. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try it. If you make a mistake, so what? You learn from mistakes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Accept it. Yeah. Accept it. Acknowledge it. Accept it. Learn from it. Move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely.
Yeah. And if more people sort of
wisdom.
Sorry?
I say, what a good tidbit of wisdom.
Yeah, that's me. I'll come up with those things occasionally. But no, it's all about, believing in yourself. A lot of people and a lot of females don't think that they're capable of doing the job when they are. And I don't know if that's the way they've been brought up, or, if it's within themselves, but I've always been I'll give it a go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just not a traditional thing. So people are scared to try it. You know, they're scared, like you said, they're scared to get out of their comfort zone. But
Yeah.
sometimes you just need to. I mean, the industry is more and more accepting of this,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so it's good to get in these non-traditional roles. Even if, you know, like whenever I went through engineering school, there was almost as many females as there were males in it. And, you know, I still think it's important for engineers to at least intern or gain a little bit of experience in roles like surveying or construction or something where they're going to be involved in, but on the bottom rung, boots on the ground area, just to get experience and know what you're going to do. Like, especially if you're going to be a civil engineer, go work for a surveyor.
Yeah,
You know?
I totally agree with that. How can you do a job when you don't have the experience? You know, at least a little bit of experience behind it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of engineers who think they're surveyors because they did one unit of surveying in their degree
Yeah.
and maybe touched an instrument once or twice.
Yeah. We, you know, it's funny. Not to rag on civil engineers. Well, kind of to rag on civil engineers. I have a love hate relationship with civil engineers, as most people
I was
in
going
my
to say,
business
yeah,
do.
I think that's most surveyors do
Yeah,
too.
can't live with them, can't live without them, kind of thing. You know, it was just funny. Like there was my surveying class I took in college was very in depth class, and it was once a week. It was in the classroom for 3 hours, and then once a week it was in the field for 3 hours. And they ran you through some very hands on courses and very hands on, you know, instruments and measuring and this and that the other. You know,
Yep.
it was good. Very relevant to things I have done in the field, and it was funny because like the civil engineers understood the classroom side of it very well, and then you had like the construction engineers, and they were doing the hands on. They were really good at that, and the civil engineers could not wrap their head around like the actual field side of things. It just made no sense to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
opposite though, going the other way. But civil engineers, you know, they a lot of them have never had any field experience, and a lot of them won't even drive and look at a job before they
Oh,
put it
wow.
together. And it's just a weird thing. I wish more people
Yeah.
would seek the experience.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yeah, I taught some civil construction engineers at TAFE, the surveying side of it. And yeah, it was very different to teaching the surveying students, that's for sure. And some of the girls that were in the class, they're going, "Oh, I can't do that." I'm like, "What? Oh, girls don't do that." And I went, "You're going to be an engineer and you don't want to get on the tools and learn how to use the equipment." Well, that's a big fail for me straight away. Don't say that you can't do anything before you even give it a go. But yeah, it was just like their whole mentality was completely different. And it's crazy. And I got asked to quote to do some training at a university for engineers again. And I was thinking it was going to be like a whole heap of hours, but it was like 200 students and they got about 5 hours. It was like 1 hour or 2 hour, 1 hour a week of me showing them how to use the equipment, not necessarily them using the equipment.
Oh wow, interesting.
I went, no, I don't agree with this. And it's like, okay, if we, they, of course, the university didn't accept our quote anyway, but it's like, if we do get this, it'll be okay, this is what surveyors do. This is how we do it. This is why you need a surveyor, not why you think you can do it. Actually teach them that, you're not, you do not know surveying because you've done this, one unit where you don't even touch equipment sort of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a
So, what
concern
advice would you
sometimes.
give to a young kid or a young girl or either one, boy or girl, just somebody who's, or even somebody who's not necessarily that young, just somebody who wants to get into, say, the surveying industry and follow that, what advice would you give them?
Give it a go. You know, there's so many different areas that you can work in. So you might start off in a boring area of surveying. You know, people see different types of surveying differently. And the main thing I kind of say is, do you like the outdoors? Do you like playing computer games? Do you like working on computers and, you know, drawing? And there's so many different areas. You know, do you like geography? You know, that's a big market that, you know, we can pull from for surveyors. So if you like any of those things, there's a job for you. You've got to do your groundwork and getting your qualification. Well, once you've done that, go out and experience the different types of surveying that there is and find your niche. Because once you find that niche, you will feel like you're not working a day because you're playing with the equipment, you're going out, you're experiencing things. It's such a fulfilling job, and knowing that, you know, you get to do all these different sorts of things. So yeah, go out there and give it a try. If you're not happy in one area, change. There's so many different jobs out there. You'll get a job in another area. We, you know, even when I was working at TAFE, 99% of our diploma students had jobs. The ones that didn't, the 1% that didn't, was because that they were still transitioning and still having to pay their way until they got their qualification and they knew that they could go and get a job in our industry. You know, we've got a skills shortage. We're screaming out for people. So career change, young kids, there's something out there for everybody.
Yeah, especially if you're just willing to learn.
Yes.
Can research and teach, and you know, you can find somebody who's good at what they do, but if you can just learn how to learn, basically, the opportunities are endless
Yes.
right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Soak in everything you can from the people around you. Take it all in.
Yeah,
That's the way you learn.
definitely. So, I got a couple questions I'll ask you, and then I'll let you get
Okay.
back to, I guess, your morning, my evening.
Is my morning. I have to get back to work.
Yeah, I keep seeing you like drinking coffee or something, and I'm like, "What's she drinking coffee?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, for you it's tomorrow.
Yes,
We're
it
having
is
we're having this
tomorrow.
call from the future."
It's funny. It's funny. All my Americans friends say that. You know, they talk about, you know, Monday, you know, to coming into Monday, and I go, "Oh, Monday wasn't so bad. You'll be all right. Just being there."
Yeah, it's
All right, hit me up.
So
What do you got?
okay. So my first one is: do you eat Marmite? Is that in your
Oh
name?
no,
Okay, thank you.
Vegemite.
Yeah, yeah.
Vegemite. That look, there are people that eat Marmite over
It's the
here.
nastiest thing I've ever eaten in my life, and yet
Mar-
so many people love it.
Marmite's disgusting. Vegemite is better.
Okay, I just had to clear the air on
But
that.
but then most Americans will say Vegemite is disgusting as well.
I think I've hated both of them, but
It's look, it's how you actually apply it on your toast.
what is the proper way to apply it?
You've got to make sure that your toast, you've got a nice amount of butter on there, and then you put a really thin layer of Vegemite across it.
Yeah, okay. I
People
don't know if I've,
slather the Vegemite on there, and it's like,
yeah, my one of my best friends, my old college roommate, he's English, and he loves Marmite. He could eat it by the spoon. I'm like, dude, that's the nastiest stuff. It smells like cat food. It tastes like cat food. I don't want it.
yeah. So see, that's the pommy thing. That's the pommy thing. The Marmite, and the Aussies are the Vegemite.
Oh, okay. I don't know which one. I probably would have had the Vegemite then whenever I was over there. I've had them both, but I think I had Vegemite whenever I was there. I think I hated them both.
Probably.
Okay, so I kind of retired this question because it was getting a little. I was getting the same answers, but I do have to wonder if in Australia, like in America, the finest restaurant is the gas station. You're working on the road, you're traveling, but in Australia, what is the go-to gas station grab there?
So I guess if you're a tradie, it's usually a Red Bull or a Monster energy drink and a sausage roll.
Okay, so it's not much different.
No.
But what is yours? What is your go-to?
Oh, me, I'm different. I might occasionally have a can of Coke, but I'm a water person.
Okay.
And food wise, I don't know. So I don't eat much.
Not a gas
Food
station
from a gas
connoisseur. Huh?
Not that I don't want to. I'm usually, yeah. I'd rather go to KFC or Macca's.
KFC. Oh, they have KFC in Australia. I guess I forget they have those everywhere.
Yep. Yep.
Is it the same as it is in America, or do you know?
I don't know. I didn't have it when I was over there. I didn't have McDonald's and I didn't have KFC when I was over there. So
Oh well,
I'll have to
you
do
missed
that
out
next
on
time.
on fine American dining. That's funny.
I didn't even get to an In and Out.
Oh yeah, that's only in like California and certain parts of Texas.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, In and Out's mainly California,
Yeah, right.
and then Texas, like Dallas, has like a couple, but I don't know that. Yeah, they're not super prevalent.
Oh, okay.
And
What did I go to? Denny's.
Denny's, of all the places you could have gone in America, you went to Denny's.
It was late at night. Come on.
Were you
My
drunk?
kids love Denny's. My kids love Denny's.
Was there alcohol involved that took you to Denny's late at night?
No. No, it was right next door to where we were staying when we went to Anaheim.
Oh, that's funny.
But then, so my kids absolutely loved it. This was back in 2016. So then we were finishing our trip off in Hawaii, and my eldest met us over there in Hawaii, and my youngest was like, "We've got to take Luke to Denny's. We've got to take Luke to Denny's." So instead of going somewhere nice, we had to go back to Denny's to see, yeah.
Fine cuisine.
It was the thick shake and the thick shakes and the pancakes, I think.
Yeah.
Pancakes. He was in awe. His eyes were just like, oh my God, it's so big.
Well, maybe next time you can upgrade a little more and go to Waffle House.
Oh, I didn't even get to the
find it.
Cheesecake Factory when I was in Hawaii. How sad is that? Apparently,
I've
that's
never
where
been
you've
to a
got to go.
Cheesecake Factory.
No, me neither. No.
Huh.
But yeah, no, when I was in Vegas last year, that was, I was that busy. I didn't really get to go anywhere or see anything. It was so sad.
Was that for Con Expo?
No, that looks amazing.
Oh, it does, doesn't it?
That looks absolutely amazing. No, this was for Trimble Dimensions.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
Nice. And then the final question I always ask everybody is, what is the dirtiest job you've ever had to do?
dirtiest job I've ever had to do. Oh, gosh. That's a difficult one. I should listen to your podcast more to think about that one. Well, probably the dirtiest job I've had to do was the job down in the Murrumbidgee because I was ending up waist high in mud.
Classic.
Yeah. So, I'm not precious. I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny.
Nice. Covered in mud.
Go quick, get a photo of me. Yeah.
Remind people that I have to work. You know?
Yes. I do actually do something.
Yeah. Now, surveyors, they get down in some crazy places sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some not so nice places that you do have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, thankfully I haven't had... Yeah, well, maybe I haven't. I've just blocked it out because it's been such a long time.
Yeah.
Alzheimer's, dementia. No.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
I don't know. Anyway.
Nice. Well, I think this has been a fun time.
Good.
I'm glad, listeners could hear somebody of an accent that's not dumb hick speaking. Not that that's what our other guests have been. That's just mine. So
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Every time I send a video to my friends on Instagram or something, they come back, okay, "You're so cute. I love your voice. I love your accent."
that's
Going,
awesome.
okay, really?
Awesome.
But
Well,
yeah. Hey,
I will
thanks for
let
having
you.
me, James. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I enjoyed it. So,
Good.
where can everybody follow you at?
So on Instagram, I am at Survey Geek Girl. And then LinkedIn, Peta Cox. You can go to my website, petacox.com. You can find everything there.
Cool. All right. Yeah, guys, check it out.
Check it out.
Cool. Well, appreciate your time. It was fun, and enjoy your morning, and I'll enjoy my night.
Yes. Enjoy your evening. Good night, James.
Good night from the future. Or I guess my face, the past.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Guys, have a good one.